Welcome. I am the one and only MSJ, Max for short, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I am resurrecting NERDvember. So officially, today is day one, year one of NERDvember. And as you can tell by the thumbnail, I'm going to be talking about Star Trek films. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the remainder of November. I'll be releasing a video, and each week we'll have a different theme. And as you can tell by this theme, it is Star Trek related. So today is Monday. I will be talking about my favorite Star Trek film. Wednesday, I'll be talking about my least favorite Star Trek film. And on Friday, I'll be talking about a good middle of the road one that I tend to watch a little bit more than the others, but it's just a good middle of the road. And it will include both of these franchises, the original cast and the TNG cast. I will not be covering the Kelvin timeline because I kind of want to just do that one separately by itself as a future video. So, but yeah. In order for you to stay up to date on those, I want you to click subscribe, hit the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, and share, because I want to hear what you have to say. Especially leave a comment down below, because I want to hear what you think my least favorite and my middle of the road Star Trek film, because it may shock you. It may. So, but yeah, today I cannot wait to talk about this video or this film, because I've been wanting to talk about it for quite some time on one of my various film related reviews, but today I am talking about Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. This is my favorite Star Trek film. I love this movie through and through. It's been quite some time since I've watched it, so I watched it for the first time in a while last night before I went to bed, and it was just like, wow, this is such a good time travel movie. And it also works as something, if you're not a Star Trek fan, this movie is very accessible. It really, really is. If you just kind of look at it, it's a fish out of water story, because our heroes, you know, the crew, the USS Enterprise, the USS Enterprise has blown up. It's in shambles, and it's destroyed at the end of Search for Spock. And so they have commandeered a bird of prey, which is the Klingon bird of prey, and it's in all its glory. I love the green look of the bird of prey. I just love that. But anyways, they're kind of like living in exile right now, and because of the events of Search for Spock, which you don't really need to watch, I think, because they do kind of a good court scene-esque. So the Klingons are kind of like, hey, I want Kirk to be held responsible for what had transpired against the Klingon Empire, and how the Genesis Project, which has been kind of a through line through the first 3 movies, are kind of like need to be kind of like dealt with, you know, like they're creating life, but to be used against the Klingon Empire or something along the lines of that. So, but anyways, like Kirk and his crew is like, yeah, we'll come back to Earth and deal with the consequences of what's been going on. But before they could reach home, this probe has gone through space and knocking out ships and destroying ships, and it finally has reached Earth, and it's vaporizing the oceans. It's wreaking havoc on anything electronic. So the Earth in the future is just being like inadvertently destroyed. Okay, hell is being brought upon Earth by accident. But yeah, so Kirk and his ultimate wisdom and his crew and Spock, you know, they're just like, what is this? Like, and he's like, well, it's focusing on the water, so put it underwater. And it's like, oh, and then it's like, it sounds like we're like, what is that? And Spock's, you know, like, I love this movie because every person in this crew seems like it's playing a huge part in this movie. They may not have the screen time, but they feel like they are contributing to this movie 100%. And Spock goes off and he's like, that's why I thought it's whale sounds. They're trying to communicate to the whales. But in the future, there is no whales. Whales have been extinct. Man has killed them off the planet, through whaling and everything. So there's just this probe is talking to nothing. It's never going to get a response back. So before they could reach Earth, they get a transmission saying, "Do not come to Earth." And so Spock and Kirk and Spock and everybody's like, you know what? We're going to the past. We have to go to the past to get whales, because these particular whales are only on Earth. You can't go any other planets, anywhere else. The only time they exist is in the past. So they do the slingshot around the sun, and they travel, and they're in the past now, and they have to take these 2 humpback whales back to the future to save Earth. And I love it because it's a fish out of water story, because they travel back to the past, and it's very loud and dirty and grimy, and their language, and it's so like unrefined. Just the best way to describe it. And it's just so good, because you got the Starfleet crew interacting with present or past San Francisco. It was just like, that's so funny, and it's good. And like I mentioned, the cast feels like every person in this is doing wonders in this movie. You got Scotty, Bones, and Sulu. They often do their own little thing where they have to like build the tank to transport the whales. You got Uhura and Chekhov, who have to go siphon photons to recrystallize the warp drive, basically, for them to slingshot around the sun to make it back, So like everyone's crew and mission is all the crew's missions are very viable, or to the success of the mission. So then you got Kirk and Spock, who are the lead on this, and they go out and try and find the whales to bring back. So I love everybody. And what's really funny is that there's a lot of humor in this movie. You got Chekhov, he's Russian, and so he pronounces his W's like V, so it's nuclear, his vessels. So like nuclear vessels. And so they're just going around San Francisco asking, like, where the nuclear vessels in Alameda? And they're just like, huh? Like, whatever. And there's a cop just looking at him. It's the humor and everything. And during this particular time period where they're making this movie, like, the Soviets are a little bit more prominent in the news. So Russian kind of walking around asking for nuclear missiles is like, okay, there's something up, but I like that. And then this movie has probably one of my favorite jokes in the movie, but I'll get to that in a second. But this movie is just so good. And then like kind of like the everyday, the everyman, our lead of the state of the normal cast, like how should I say that? Like the lead for the past, like it's the caretaker of these whales, and she's really grown attached to him because she's a scientist and everything. So she's like, she knows everything about these whales, and like she's a very big advocate of preserving whales, like obviously. And this movie does have a little bit of graphicness to it. They will show you what is happening to these whales that are being shot down and harpooned and broken down into those various parts, and it's pretty graphic, but I think it works well within the movie because it shows you like how these whales are just being killed for no reason. So but yeah, this movie is just so good. So everything is coming together really, really well. It's going a little bit too smoothly, but Kirk and Spock, they are trying to get the radio frequency for the whales so they can like properly transport them onto the ship itself with the water and everything. But then missions start to fall apart a little bit in various ways. Kirk and Spock are like the whales are set free early. Chekhov ends up being captured and hurt and put in the hospital, so they have to go rescue him. And then Scotty and them, they kind of tamper with the future a little bit by giving a formula of making this plexiglass smaller to be able to withheld a bigger pressure, and stuff. It's along the lines of that. But anyways, when Chekhov is in the hospital, this has one of my favorite jokes in the entire franchise of Star Trek, because Bones, he's McCoy, he's the doctor of the group. He's going through the hospital trying to find Chekhov, because the medicine back then is just not what it is. It's like so invasive, it's so archaic. So there's this older lady sitting on the gurney, and he's like, "What's wrong with you?" And she's like, "Kidney dialysis." And he's like, "Dialysis?" And he's like, he gets into his little black bag, pulls out some medicines, like, "Take 2 of these and call me in the morning," kind of spiel. And it's funny. And he's like, "I don't even know how these people get out of the dark ages." And then a few minutes later, they rescue Chekhov, save him, and you see the old lady again, like probably about in terms of maybe an hour or so. Like, if you really think about how much time has passed, about an hour later, she's just being wheeled through the hallway, like raising her arms, yelling, and like, "Oh my goodness, I feel so good," and whatever. And it's just, I love that joke. I just love that kind of humor, and it feels really good in this. It's just like, I just like that joke. But yeah. And then when they finally get the whales back to the future and they realize that this is what is needed and everything, and it was just so good. Like, I'm doing a very disservice to this film because it's fun. It really is. And it flies by so quickly. And there is what Star Trek is. There's a lot of dialogue and a lot of sitting down and like thinking things out, and that's what I really like about this particular movie, because he's like, how you want to do this and how you want to do that, and when he's talking, there's this little dinner scene with the scientist. I think it's the mom from Seventh Heaven. I really think that's the show that she's from. I'm probably misremembering, but I think that's the show that she was on. She's and Kirk are just having a good conversation, and he's trying not to reveal too much, and at the same time saying everything, and she's just like trying to get so much information out of him, because they're just, something about him isn't adding up to her, and that's just great. It's a ticking clock movie, time travel movie, and a good Star Trek movie, all rolled into one, and you can't get any better than that. Like, I understand why The Wrath of Khan is a good Star Trek movie, and a lot of people's favorites, because if you go from the motion picture to Wrath of Khan, it's a vastly different kind of film. But I really like this one. Like, this is a good Star Trek movie, and this is my favorite because this is kind of like in between the end of the Star Trek cast, of the original cast, kind of winding down, and as well as kind of like the also kind of like what the 3 previous movies have kind of built up, and it's finally coming to an end in this one. So, but yeah, it's a really good movie. That's all I can really say. I say this quite a bit in this review, or this discussion about the voyage home, and the special effects are top notch. I was reading that a lot of people were getting mad that they were like messing with the whales and everything, and they're like, these whales are fake. Like, we built these whales so they can do what they need to do and get the shots properly for the movie and everything. And I'm sure some of the whales that were filmed at the sea park, or this little thing, were real in some way, but for all the underwater stuff, it was fake. They were only like 4 feet and some change, and it's just the filmmaking at its best, in my opinion. So I love this movie. If you're, like I mentioned at the top of this review, if you're not a Star Trek fan and kind of want to get into Star Trek, I think this one is a good introduction to kind of give you a vibe of what to expect and how a good mission would go. You know, like there's some trouble, some good, there's a threat, but it's not too overbearing. You don't need to know who the Borg is or the Klingon Empire, Romulans and stuff like that. This is kind of an easy Star Trek movie to watch, and that's probably the best way I can describe it. And I love the more complicated stuff. I really, really do. But I just like the heartfeltness and the easiness of this movie, because sometimes that's what I like. I love the action of Khan, the more the whatever of generations, you know, that's kind of a mess, but but I still enjoyed that movie for what it is. But this is a very good movie. It really is. So that is all. I am the one and only MSJ, Max for short. Don't forget, Wednesday I'm talking about my least favorite, so make sure you click subscribe, hit the bell, all that fun stuff again. And all I can really say is live long and prosper, and thank you.